lecture will be starting in 2 minutes.
No problem. Take your time. Take your time.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you very much. So sorry for being late. There was some network issue. So good evening everyone. There are some instructions that you need to follow during the webinar. Firstly, you all have to switch on your cameras and put it on during the webinar, but do not unmute your mics during the webinar. So otherwise it will create disturbance. So once again, good evening to you all. This is Anika Sharma. I'll be a moderator for today's webinar, national webinar on white collar crimes. Today we have with us Sir Dr. G.V. Rao, who is a senior advocate, Supreme Court of India, and he is going to enlighten us on the topic of white collar crimes. Sorry, am I audible? I thought there was some network fault. So, Sir will enlighten us on the topic of white collar crimes. He has specialized in various branches of domestic and international law, such as constitutional law, corporate law, taxation, and some civil and criminal matters. He started his career as an Attorney General for India's office in 1986, and thereafter was a government counsel for 20 years, and he has been practicing in all courts of India as an independent senior counsel for 30 years. He has been a recipient of numerous awards such as Lex Falcon Global Award 2021, Pictale Global Influencer Award 2021, Bharat Gaurav Award 2016, Protector of Democracy Award 2009, National Bar Award 2008, and etc. Dr. Rao has published numerous articles, papers, and edited books. He is a life member and former office bearer of the Indian Society of International Law, as well as the International Council of Jurists London. He has been an office bearer, both elected and appointed, of organizations worldwide addressing UN organizations and conferences. He has been the Vice President, Global Education Law, Forum Amsterdam, and Vice President, World Peace Congress, Bangkok. He has been associated with various other organizations across the world and a regular participant in TV programs for various international and domestic channels like TRT Turkish TV, UK TV, and Indian channels like BBC, Doordarshan, Times Now, and NewsX. And there is a lot of things to tell you about, so what are his achievements, what he has done in his long career of 30 years in litigation. But here I'll stop and I'll like to take over the mic and begin with the session.
Good afternoon, all of you. Rupam, Thank you, Rupam, for inviting me. And I don't know, what is your name, the young lady who spoke just now?
Sir, Anika Sharma.
Miss Anita Sharma, thank you as well for introducing me. And I'm very glad to see a lot of you. I see a lot of young ladies also. I believe that most of you are students, law students. And it's a pleasure to address you all today on this topic. I always love to address young people because it's sharing knowledge and helping you, trying to learn new concepts, understand various aspects of how you will be when you grow up to be a professional. Some of you may become lawyers, practicing lawyers in courts. Some of you may want to practice and become judges. Some of you may join law firms. Some of you may join the civil service. But well, that's your choice. What I say today will be relevant to those who want to practice law, as well as those who want to teach law, those who want to join civil service, those who want to join law firms, etc. It will be useful to everybody, not just somebody who wants to practice law alone. So therefore, this is knowledge of law. So my addressing all of you here as someone who's been a senior advocate of the court and who's practiced law for so many years is only indicative of the fact that I have dealt with the law a great deal in a day-to-day fashion with the courts in cases and litigation. So therefore, it is only just the fact that I have great experience in this branch, in many branches of law, even this one. So it will help me it will help you, for me to make you understand this thing, and therefore you will be able to understand this particular topic, especially about white collar crimes in a much detailed fashion. Since you are all law students, I would like you to pay attention, and you should be able to comprehend most of it. And I remember my days when I was a law student, and I used to attend so many lectures, and this thing which has made what I am today in my career. And I guess you will hopefully benefit the same way as I did. And I do understand that you are youngsters, so whatever you don't understand, don't worry about it. You will definitely be able to understand it at some point. But let me just give you my presentation. Today I've made a PowerPoint presentation for you. My juniors, and Namrata, my junior, assisted me in getting the thing together, and I've given it the final shape. I will just share you my screen. 1 second. Let me see where the screen share is gone. Screen share. Yeah, I got it. Screen share. Right. And let me see. Here you are. 1 second. Screen share. Screen share. Now I'm going to share my. Is it clear?
Yes,
Rupa?
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
See my picture and the topic, etc. Clearly.
Yes, sir.
Great. And you can hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So therefore, white collar crimes. You see, I'm wearing a white collar. Can you see that? It doesn't mean I'm the one who commits the crimes. It could be lawyers also do, but like my white collars are visible right under the title. And I'm a senior advocate of the Supreme Court. I've been in the Supreme Court for 34 years now, and for many years I practiced as a junior. I'm also an honorary professor in law and political science in Jaipur University, which conferred me the professorship, and also in business and commerce. It was conferred by Manipal University It has a campus in Jaipur and in Manipal in south of India, as you may know. So there we are, white collar crimes. Now, white collar crimes means, other than blue collar crimes. White collar crimes are people, respectable people committing white collars, with white collars. That's how the expression comes. White collar means those people who are supposed to be very respectable in society, and they are not like the working class, or they are not, it's not actually robbery, dacoity and those kind of low level things which criminal activity. But this is white collar crime. But white collar crime is also known as economic offences in the parlance of government. White collar crime is a legal term in the sense for purposes of legal education, etc. But in the government of India, white collar crime is a larger term which is used worldwide as the economic offence. But in government parlance, white collar crime is known as economic offences. Now we have a well-known criminologist and sociologist, and he has defined white collar crime for you. White collar crimes are wrongdoings carried by a man of respectability and high economic well-being in the course of his. So people of respectability, of status, of managers, and there are workers. So managers levels, those who are supposed to be very, the good old days, everybody wore a white collar and tie and all that. So that's where you get the word expression white collar. So it's crime committed by respectable people, so-called respectable people, so-called people of men of status and position in society. Now, so therefore, the concept of white collar crime means it is attached to people as a
Sorry, there is a network issue at Sir's end, so he'll be joined soon, so please wait. And sorry for the glitch. I hope I'm audible to you all. You have been asked to switch on your video during the webinar. Nobody is switching on their video. Please do it right now. Everybody please switch on their videos. Everybody please switch on your videos.
Can you see me? Yeah. Okay, I'm there.
Yes, sir. Now you are audible.
Yeah. I will just ask you to tell me at where I was in my presentation.
So you were explaining about the crimes that white collar crimes are committed by the high society people, so-called special people of the society.
Oh, okay. I think did you see the third slide? I'm on the third slide. Did you see the third slide? No.
No, sir. There was some issue with my end as well, so I could not see the slides.
Can you are the slides visible now?
No, sir. No.
One second. Oh my God. One second. Just please hold. Let me do. How did this happen? I didn't do anything at all. Okay. Now. Never mind. Now can you see screen share?
No, sir.
No, 1 second. Oh God. What's going on? Screen share. Yeah, it's there. Screen share. Okay, now I've done. Alright, now can you see? Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This is the first slide. You must have seen this all.
Yes, sir.
The second one, did you see this one?
No, sir. I don't think it was.
Alright. Now just I was very quickly explaining that white collar crimes are committed by people who, it comes from the expression white collar. White collar means people who are paid like professionals, who are of high status in society, who work at a higher strata, and it comes from the fact that they had still starched white collars with ties, and they had a status, and they had education and qualifications, etc. And they are people of the high strata in the society. So that it comes from there. In India, white collar is a legal term, it's legal jargon, where white collar is used in a wide sense all over the world, whereas in India it's called economic offenses.
I think again there was some issue, network issue. It is end. He'll join soon.
I have a request to the organizer. Please make everybody an attendee.
Sorry?
Please make everybody an attendee.
You just write in the chat box, you're not audible to me.
there is a network issue at sir end, so it would be
Then
better.
sir, I'm thinking do one thing, आप presentation ले लो and you share it. Maybe he is having some problem, so if you can do that.
Actually, sir is not convenient in Microsoft Teams. I got a call from sir right now, so it would be better to shift in Google Meet. I'll just create a link in a minute and I'll share it to you in the group. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So you all can deboard and Anika just do the needful. I'm just sharing it. Right.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The rest of the participant kindly keyboard. I'll send you the Google Meet link over WhatsApp. The session has been transferred to Google Meet. I'll send you the link over WhatsApp within 2
No
minutes.
problem.
Kindly keyboard this platform.
Okay, I'm ending the meeting. Yes, ma'am. The participants. Yeah, yes, ma'am, in the meeting. I have joined through the Amicus form. I think we have to start the meet again, ma'am. Oh, live again. Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. There's no need to start the live. Yes, ma'am. I just deleted the window capture and created a new one, and in the new one I selected the meet bar. Yeah. Ma'am, let me just check whether the live is working or not. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can all of you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, alright. Let me do screen share here, your entire screen. Okay, if it doesn't work, then you do it. Shubham, I've sent you this thing. Let me just see if we are okay with that. And are you seeing my screen there?
Yes, sir.
Alright, 1 second. Everything okay? 1 second. Let me just open my PPT here. Okay, it should work here, don't worry about it. But although I've sent it, Shubham, if it gets if there's any further problem, then we will. Then you can do it from your end. Okay. Have you received?
Yes,
Are you seeing this thing? Okay. And have you received the response email?
Yes, sir. Yes, I got it.
Okay. Now, are you able to see the screen now?
No, sir.
Screen share.
No, sir.
1 second. Can you see my computer screen?
No, sir. It was visible a few minutes
Okay,
ago.
now, right. Alright. What do I do? Why isn't it sharing? Share your entire screen. It's not sharing my entire screen. Why? There's some problem. Oh, I got it. Right. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Now, can you see this, my presentation? Can you see it? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, right. Thank you. Okay, right. So I'm going to leave it. I gave you a definition by an eminent criminologist and sociologist on white collar crime. I've told you white collar crime is it deals with financial crimes. It's essentially people from high status, from people in from respectable respectable section of the society. And white collar, as you know, is good old days. People who were in high society used to wear the white collar and tie. That's where the name comes from. This deals with corporate finance frauds and cyber crimes and all of those things. I don't need to tell you this. So such scams, they affect the economy, they affect the trust of the people. The lowest traders, not all of them are criminals. Some may be, very small percentage of those who are pickpockets or robbers or dacoits or any of those blue collar crime. It's called blue collar, white collar and blue collar. The other strata of society is known as blue collar. So higher strata society, and this is they are respectable people who we will see how they disguise their criminal activity. See, in criminology, criminal mindset can be from people from high society, from well-educated backgrounds, professionals and managers, etc. And it need not necessarily mean that if a person is poor, he may be a criminal. Criminality is a mindset. There are various factors to it. Could be broken families, could be just plain greed. Could be giving ethical and moral values that go by and trying to get on with life and compete in a wrong fashion to outsmart other people. So we have talked about the reasons. Reasons is increasing competition. People want to get ahead of others, make big quick bucks, bend laws, and commit crimes. As I told you, Niccolo Machiavelli wrote The Prince. He's an Italian philosopher. Please read it. It's about people in power committing crimes and how they maintain their power by criminal activities. So man can sooner and easily forget the death of his father than the loss of his inheritance. They want the money. A person. This is a very touching remark where they say that some people are so greedy that they may forget the death of their father, but they cannot accept the fact that they have lost the inheritance. So more than human values and attachment to some people, the money that they are owed, that they are supposed to get, is what they are attached to. So also, technology, cyber crimes, you can forfeit things, you can counterfeit things. There are ways of quickly trying to do things, make easy money and cheat and defraud. And technology and methods are there for people to outsmart other people, people from different. There are people who have these Ponzi schemes. Ponzi schemes are done to cheat the common, a little more innocent people, those who are not so intelligent, those who are, they take away little money of them and create a fraud, and there are so many of those cases. Again, white collar crimes, bank frauds, corruption, bribery. You bribe somebody and try to get a contract. You bribe somebody and give bad quality goods. Misappropriation. Many times some of the managers and all, they misappropriate the. There was this misappropriation. Let me give you an example. The one that I know of. there was the government in Andhra Pradesh was shifted from Hyderabad to a place, another new city, new capital called Amravati. So one of the speakers or deputy speakers, whoever that person was, he was overseeing the shifting of the furniture, computers, etc. from the office of the government office from Hyderabad, and he just took them and kept them with him, stored them in his big vast farmhouse, etc. So what was given to him, he misappropriated. What he was supposed to do was ensure that the government furniture, computers, televisions, whatever else was under his for which he was in charge, they should be. Insider trading is another very a lot of it's a big criminal activity. Insider trading means simple, that you have confidential information about your own company and you call your friend. One of the biggest cases in recent times was one gentleman from Citibank in the United States, some pundit, his name was, I think, he called his friend and said, look, we are going to do these things, the shares will go up soon, you purchase all the shares that you can because this is going to create a great demand, and then when you do that, I am giving you this information, after you get it and the share prices go, you sell them, you make money and give me some money. So insider trading is betrayal of confidence, of confidential data and information of the organization or the company that you are working with, and selling that to outsiders and making money. That's also a white collar crime. So only big managers will do. White collar crime, essentially people with high qualification, intelligent people, smart people, those who are not the ordinary street people, they are the ones who commit it. Money laundering. Money laundering, what they do, I will show you later, you will see what money laundering, how it works. Money laundering is that you transfer your money to foreign destinations, and some of it, you see, there is a hawala trade. I should have put the word hawala trade. Hawala trade, you know how it operates. Some of you may not know. And there are certain places all over the world, the hawala trade, and it's a number 2 business, and only criminal and shady characters do it. You see, what they do is, they don't want to pay tax, they don't want to buy foreign exchange and pay it through legitimate banking channels. The money is not available with them in the banks. They have cash lying in stacks and stacks and stacks in their house because they've always dealt in cash. They sell a property, it is sold in cash and they take cash. So they deal in cash, these money launderers. By and large, there are multiple ways of money laundering. One of the ones I'm telling you, the hawala trade. I forgot, I should have put the hawala trade. There's a big case called the hawala case in the Supreme Court. Vineet Narayan, my good friend, had filed a case about some businessmen doing hawala trade. Hawala trade is simply, what it does is that since these people are always dealing in black money is not tax paid money, unaccounted, which is not in the bank. So they will keep this loads and loads of their cash, then they will call somebody whom through their contact, this is all a business side. They say, look, I'm going to give you 2 crores of rupees and you will get it in Delhi, but I want this 2 crores in Dubai currency or in American dollars. And there are people who do this, facilitate this. So they'll say, fine, you give me 2 crores here, I will give you not 2 crores, but I'll give you 1 crore 80 lakhs or 75 lakhs. You say, look, this is my commission because you're going to get it in dollars, I'll take some commission. So they'll take a small commission or a relatively slightly smaller or bigger, whatever that is. And again, both the government's tax net is evaded, and the fellow does hawala. He transfers his money in cash here and collects money in cash there. That's called money laundering in the simple basic sense. So that is all. Usually black money is used for these kind of transactions. Sometimes money, suppose somebody is supposed to get paid for some big business deal. So what he does is he will show the bill that he is getting only 20 lakhs of rupees, whereas he will collect another 15 lakhs overseas, for which he doesn't have to pay tax or he has to pay less tax, and he shows to Government of India that I have only got 20 lakhs and here is my 10% income tax or whatever. So similarly, the money laundering and tax evasion are pretty much with the same purpose. tax evasion in India locally will be when you take cash and you don't, you say, all right, somebody comes and he says you want to, I want to buy a car, or let's say, or a bike or anything you want. They'll say, all right, you pay cash. Now in that cash, sometimes because if it is these days PAN numbers and Aadhaar cards are used for buying and selling of cars, etc. So if they are selling the car for 1 lakh, they will say, I got 20,000 cash, and they'll put it into the bank account and pay 5,000 rupees or 1,000 rupees as cash, as check, as the tax, I'm sorry. So they are doing majority of the transaction in cash and showing only a part of it, or they say, all right, you give me, if the value of the item is 1 lakh, you say, you give me 50,000 in cash and 50,000 by check. So they'll put 50,000 into their account as the value of the thing, and they've got, and on 50,000 which has gone into their bank account, they will pay tax on 50,000, which may be 5,000 something. So therefore, tax evasion is done all by cash activities. So that is locally. Money laundering usually has jurisdictions. It goes out. Sometimes what they do is they take part of their money outside, then they bring it back through legitimate channels and say, oh, somebody has invested in my business, whereas it is their own money, they have ill-gotten money that they have had, and they say it's only I borrowed this money, and through the legitimate channels it may come and get invested. You learn more about it, but you just need to know broadly. You don't need to know everything here. When you become lawyers and you have practiced and you have studied, etc., you'll learn more of it. Ponzi schemes are like, if you have, I don't know if anybody of you have experience of Ponzi schemes where they say, all right, you pay 50 rupees and then after 2 months or 3 months you will get back 75 rupees. Like that, they will keep on doing it with another person, and there is a promise of high return, but somebody defaults and everybody loses money. So Ponzi schemes, you must read about it. It's another big fraud, and it's a criminal activity. This is to keep on defrauding one person, and at some point of time the whole pyramid falls, and it's called a Ponzi scheme. You must read about that. Now IPC, you see, Indian Penal Code, there are several different legislations to deal with all these white collar crimes. In India, I think, I don't know if you heard me say this, but earlier, this white collar crime is a larger terminology. It is jargon, legal jargon, which is acceptable, and everybody who's in the legal field is familiar with. But in India, white collar crime is termed as economic offences. I don't know if I put it, I will just look for that. Economic offences, it is a government terminology. White collar crime is economic offences in India, government term. So there are acts, and some of you must have read, you are law students, good law students. There are various acts for dealing with various economic offences. There are acts like the Indian Penal Code. Indian Penal Code is also an act of parliament. What is law? Law is a piece, a code, a set of rules that are passed by the parliament, and it is called an act of parliament, and that becomes law, and it is adhered to by the government and the police, etc., and by the citizens. And if they don't do it, then the system takes over. You go before a magistrate, cases are registered, everything. Hello, who is somebody breathing strongly into the mic? Please be careful. Okay, then there is other kinds of thing like bribery, counterfeiting, printing of currency, printing of stamp paper. There was a big Telgi scam. Telgi fellow, one guy, he used to print stamp paper, judicial stamp paper, I don't know how many of you have gone and seen judicial stamp paper and non-judicial stamp paper, on which you make agreements and all. So this Telgi, he is a big case, he's still in jail perhaps. He used to print counterfeit stamp paper. They caught him and put him in jail. He made lakhs and crores of rupees. And then he would bribe police officials or government officials so that nobody comes to know. So misappropriation of public property is a serious offense. People will go and encroachment is their land, or public property. I know I was traveling from Bangalore, Chennai to Bangalore one day, long ago, 15, 20 years ago, in a train. And I went to the toilet and I saw, you won't believe it, this is white collar crime. I went into the toilet, I saw the fan missing. And you will be shocked to know what was written where the fan was missing. It was written, this is public property, I am taking my share. Now, that is white collar. Some educated man wrote in English while removing the fan that this is public property and I am taking my share. Right? So, forgery is signing on behalf of somebody. It is a criminal activity. It is treated as blue collar crime, but it can also be, it will be white collar crime also, because in white collar crime also such type of forgery occurs. Now let us see what are all the statutes. Statute means laws, acts of parliament that deal with white collar crimes or economic offences. I should have put the word economic offences, I just forgot, I wanted to put it here. Prevention of Money Laundering Act, the same thing, which is hawala trade, transferring money where you are supposed to get it in India and you receive it outside so that the government doesn't know and then you bring it back. That's called prevention of money laundering. It's a white collar crime. Criminal will file an FIR, arrest you and all this. Essential Commodities Act. Essential Commodities Act is salt, sugar, all these essential commodities. They're hoarding. People go and hoard these things and jack up the prices. Recently, I'll tell you, there was a gentleman in Delhi who was hoarding oxygen cylinders at the time of the pandemic. When the coronavirus COVID cases are increasing, he saw that everybody needed oxygen cylinders. He kept some 3,000 cylinders, something in Delhi, packed away. They went and arrested him and put him behind bars, and they are going to prosecute him. See how how the system is. You arrest a person, you investigate him, you register a case, then you file a charge sheet. He may get bail, he may not get bail, and then the case proceeds whether to convict him or not. Now, Companies Act, again criminal provisions are there. Prevention of Corruption Act. If you bribe some government officer to get some kind of favor, you want to get a train ticket, you want to do anything A to Z. If you do bribing to get a government contract, get admission in college, something, then Prevention of Corruption Act will come into play, that you have where both the bribe giver and bribe taker are liable, and the fellow is given to the person in the government official position to do any kind of help to you. That Prevention of Corruption Act comes into play. Companies Act, fraud relating to shares. People sell the shares without the knowledge of the others. They do, they do various kinds of regulatory offences are committed. They don't file annual returns of the company. There are various other statutory requirements, tax requirements. Companies have to adhere to. Many times they have also to adhere to that. There are different acts for that, provident fund and statutory. They take away the money, and so there are various offences. Companies Act perhaps those offences, and cases can be filed which are criminal proceedings, where under the Companies Act the person can be arrested and put behind bars. You see the difference between criminal proceedings and civil proceedings. As you know, criminal you can go to jail. Civil proceedings is essentially penalties and fine. Now all of the cyber crime comes under the Information Technology Act 2000. Under the Information Tech, all the various provisions are there. If you try to create false identities, if you defame persons on the internet. Good old days there was a case, a cybercrime case, first case, that in some school, some kids made some offensive pornographic material and they started selling it on a website. It was a case where the Harvard educated, the website, those who were managing the website were arrested. So therefore, there are dozens of cybercrime cases, as you know, for identity, for harassment of women, essentially, threatening, blackmailing, all kinds of things. All of that, the cybercrimes are all on the information, and it's a white collar crime. They can be arrested and penalized. The Industrial Development and Regulation Act, this act was actually originally at the time of independence, there were new industries being set up, new industries which dealt with essential commodities. So there were certain laws prescribed as to how the industrial development will take place, how the factories will be set up, because the government used to provide subsidy. When government provides subsidy means it will give you cheaper material, it will give you cheaper land, it will give you tax exemptions. So that kind of thing will be there under and though the Act deals with setting up of good industries which are required for the state, and if anybody violates that Act, there were criminal offences. Now there are a whole lot of acts that deal with foreign exchange or foreign exchange, because foreign exchange is precious to the country. Why is foreign exchange? Most of white collar crimes, serious crimes are foreign exchange related. Why is foreign exchange precious to the country? Because the country's economy is measured by two things. One is gold reserves and the second is foreign exchange reserves. Today India's foreign exchange reserves is $60 billion. Huge amount of foreign exchange reserves we have got, because how do we get foreign exchange, higher foreign exchange? When a country exports more than it imports. How do you get higher foreign exchange? When you export more than you import. That means you are able to manufacture goods and services, you are able to manufacture agriculture, you are able to produce agriculture produce or goods and services, IT services, so much IT services are there. Companies here are programming, software programming, they charge, money comes by the wire, it comes into the bank account, it comes through Reserve Bank of India, $1 million comes, it comes in US dollars, and it is a figure amount in figures, which is literally a sort of a tally of figures. So $1 million credits will come, they go into the account, the Reserve Bank of India converts them into rupees. It doesn't give you foreign. In certain circumstances where somebody has a import-export business, some of them can keep that money in $1 million in foreign currency. But for anybody else, if a person from Dubai sends money, $5,000 to his family for their upkeep, they have no such benefit. So $5,000 will get converted into rupees, and it goes into rupees into the banks of their families. So therefore, the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act is for that purpose. How much foreign exchange you can keep, how much can you carry, all these things are there, because foreign exchange is precious to the country. It is the backbone of the. Then similarly, gold. If you smuggle gold from foreign country, you are buying cheap gold and bringing it in. It affects the economy of the country, because gold reserves are the index. And foreign exchange, similarly, you do something which you lose the foreign exchange, you are affecting the economy of the country, because our status in the world is known by our foreign exchange reserves. So government is very, very particular of ensuring that the government doesn't lose out on exchange of any kind of fraud, and money laundering is also relating to foreign exchange in one sense, because the money is carried out outside. So then thereafter there is it was replaced by the Foreign Exchange Management Act in '99, where they gave some kind of liberalization in the 90s. The government started what it is called the Economic Liberalization Program. It was started by the then Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao and the Finance Minister Shri Manmohan Singh, and they said that you can do foreign investors can invest in Indian businesses, somewhere 30%, somewhere 40%, somewhere 50%, and earn profits and take them away. That is legitimate business. Suppose a foreign company invests $10 million in some business, it invests in computer manufacturing, and the profit for at the end of the year is 1 million. So under the FEMA rules, etc., they can take back maybe 1 million, maybe $80,000, depending upon the ratio that the government sets for foreign investors to take back their profits, and therefore Foreign Exchange Management Act was there. But then you can violate this act because by fraudulent declaration, by doing other kinds of things, disguised change of hands, you give money to somebody and say he's my family member, relative, something. There are various for every act and every law, there are 10 ways of trying to violate it by somebody or the other tries to do it. It is, I must tell you a case which I had some recently. One gentleman came and said, can I get my son into a college where admissions are reserved for foreigners, Indians, persons of Indian origin who are living abroad. That is literally foreigners. They may be having US passport or the citizens of UK, US, Africa, any place. I said, no, you can't do it because the person there has to pay the fees. This is only meant for his family members, his son. He can't educate him there, or he wants to educate him in India. A certain category is there, so there's a higher fees prescribed to be paid in foreign exchange. So government has allowed that. So I showed in the law, and later after 2-3 months, they got somebody else to do some sponsors, and they're paying locally some fraud. It's sad, but I'm just giving you as an example that although the categories, of course, any child is entitled to good legal education, but definitely this should they be caught, that father and son, it would be a criminal activity. It would amount to a criminal offense. So that is their risk. They may do it, but they went and got it when it was not possible by any stretch of imagination. Never mind that. Now, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act is also, there are various aspects of this foreign exchange management. Foreign Contribution Regulation Act is donations and other things. There are, suppose, you see, recently Government of India, the Modi government said that certain foreign contributions have been coming to forcibly convert people or induce people to convert from their religion and mislead them and create tension in society. So that would come under foreign contribution regulation. Suppose they say our purpose is to provide health facilities, something, and they go and start. Literally, it's like a bribery to the inducement. Just give cash to people and say, all right, now why don't you change your religion? So therefore, there are some parameters under you can go through each one of these acts. I'm telling you broadly. If I tell you every single act, for the next 6 months I'm sitting in front of each other. So that's not how it is. You just need to know broadly what all is the gamut of it. Now this is very interesting act. It's an old act, Coffee Posa Act. Again, the Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Activities Act, Coffee Posa. This is the first of the act. Actually in 74 all these 3 acts for different types of activities. This is the provisions are. See, Coffee Posa is straight away smuggling of cash or things like that. Foreign exchange is disguised fraud. These are sophisticated mechanisms that you can have. Directly smuggling activity means you bring them in your suitcase, you bring them in your baggage. You can do that. So even the government decided to have different acts for different shades of regulation of foreign exchange, and I will talk more about Coffee Posa a little later. So now, Fugitive Economic Offenders Act is basically not it's a double crime. How it is a double crime is the fellow is an economic offender. He does some wheeling dealing, he violates Income Tax Act, he does something else, and then he runs away from the country. Now we'll see some cases recently, very very high profile cases. We'll see all of them just now. So this is his properties can be confiscated. This is the idea of putting the Fugitive Economic Offenders Act is to confiscate the properties of the fellow who has just vanished in India to make it easier. Now the Income Tax Act, as you know, we all have to pay tax. If you I don't know, some of you are very young. In 2016-17, what the government of India did was it banned all 500 and 1000 rupee notes and gave everybody 1 month to go and exchange it to new notes. Now this is to curb black money.
money means that you keep on dealing in cash and you don't show any payment by check or into the bank, and you don't pay tax to the government. That's called black money. So the government is now, if everybody has to go and exchange his 500 and 1,000 notes, and they are all lying in cash, and if he goes to the bank to exchange it, then it has to get accounted. It has to get accounted. They suppose if somebody brings 20 lakhs to the bank and says my 20 lakhs are in, and 20 all black money are in big large denominations. They will not be in coins, in 1 rupee, 2 rupee coins. They will not be in black money. Is always in 500,000 rupee notes. So they will have to bring it. Suppose he goes to bank 20 lakhs, they'll say, bank will say, where do you get 20 lakhs? First big declaration. And this 20 lakhs cash which you give, when you go into your bank account, will not give you 20 lakhs cash back. So therefore, under that provision of banning 500 and 1,000 rupee notes was done under the Reserve Bank of India Act, etc. And the income tax provision was also applied, because anybody going to exchange will be liable to pay the tax rate, and he has to show why he hasn't told the government about this money which is stashing in cash. So therefore, that's one of the provisions, and there are penal provisions under the income tax for tax evasion, etc. Customs Act, Customs and Excise Act. This is Customs Act. It's not Customs and Excise Act. There's a mistake. Customs Act and then Central Excise Act. The Customs Act. Customs is when you import things. You go abroad and you buy 4 or 5 computers and you bring them in your bag. Customs is where pay 120% duty. Suppose you get a computer at 20,000 rupees somewhere, or cell phones. You buy 50, you bring 50 cell phones. You say, all right, you can take it, 50 cell phones, we don't permit. We'll either confiscate it, or if suppose there is if you want to pay 120% duty, you pay 120% duty or 150%, whatever prohibitive duty rate is there. So a foolish man can pay the prohibit, because he may be bringing it to do business. You buy it for 20,000 and sell it for 50,000, because the product is 60,000 in India, and make 10,000 rupees at least, or 30,000 rupees profit. So that kind of thing. So that is Customs Act. And then Central Excise and Salt Act is, Central Excise is levied on manufacture of goods. If anybody is manufacturing shoes, or is manufacturing wristwatches, is manufacturing cell phones, the moment he manufactures and it is in the box and it is going out of his factory, he is liable to pay Central Excise. All Central Excise, it is called salt also. In those days, British times, I don't know if they removed the salt also, but it is called Central Excise. Salt was because the British times they were levying tax on manufacture of salt also, because was surprising, inhuman thing. But anything, even now, salt is you levy tax, but they separately made that Central Excise and Salt Act. So Central Excise is on manufacture. So what the fellow will do? He will not show anything. He will take 500 boxes in the night, or he will maybe dig an underground tunnel, and those things that are manufactured there takes out, so that he doesn't have to pay Central Excise duty. It's called Central Excise duty. And then in the books he'll show only 5 vans have gone, only 50 boxes have gone, and therefore saves the Central Excise. The government knows how to fix these buggers and catch them. Now there are other ancillary acts, Antiquity and Arts Act. People will take some idol from some temple in South India or some other place, ancient temple, and just smuggle it out and take and sell it. So there are acts which deal with that. They're making. Similarly, arts and artifacts, you're not supposed to sell. There is a list given and number of years which you cannot sell, and all these things. So Human Organs Transplant Act, similarly, there was a scam way back in the 90s where somebody would go for some odd ill health. They'll say, no, you're not well. You admit him into hospital, and next thing he knows, his kidney is vanished. So nowadays, for kidney donors and all, that's very strict, because they don't allow. You see, what happens is, some people, elderly people, they will lose the functioning of a kidney. And just to give you an example, otherwise some people, you can harvest organs from a person who is
quite about dead, and a heart transplant can also take place, or a liver transplant can take place. Some people in accident, they are about to die. The family says, if the organs can be harvested, we can allow them. There are laws regarding all of this. So, Human Organs Transplant Act, both in 94 and 2018, there was some amendment. There. Narcotics, Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act. This is all about drugs. You know, many people go to the mountains, Himachal, and there some people will make some, marijuana and all that. All that is controlled by this. Or even in colleges and schools, I believe it's prevalent. I would advise you, none of you to touch any of these things. They're highly addictive and they will destroy the life. So, there are various medicines, LSD, these are, smack, heroin, all these things. These are not to be sold or not to be consumed. So these things regulate, people make a lot of profit. There's so much material that is smuggled into and it's very high profit trade. So Banking Regulation Act, again, banks, you do bank fraud, you take loans, you misstate, you show your false assets, false balance sheets, and so banking. Similarly, Passport Act, forging passports, etc. MRTP is Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices. Now, this has been replaced by the Competition Commission Act. What MRTP Act does is that competition, you are not supposed to kill the market of some other people. In order to, there are various trade practices where people try to monopolize the situation so that nobody else gets any opportunity to do the same trade. And there are various methods and mechanisms by it. You must read it, you will read it later. And then there are the Companies Act, MRTP. Now I should have put Competition Commission Act here. MRTP is replaced by this. So non-competitive business practices are prevented by the government, and people who do those are punished and they are taken to court. Penalties are levied. There are statutory regulations there, so that if there's a complaint against you in Competition Commission, you have to deal with that. Again, I told you about Provident Fund and gratuity. There are criminal provisions here. Anybody who doesn't keep aside the Provident Fund of his employees, anybody who has more than 5 employees, all of these things come into play. Provident Fund and gratuity, they have to be deposited in the bank. That if it isn't done and there is a violation of that, they'll arrest the directors and put them behind bars. And I have done a couple of cases with that. Similarly, all intellectual property violations. Intellectual property, copyright, trademark, patents, designs, all these acts, if you violate that, if you try, I did recently a case over a copyright violation where somebody just took some 15 chapters or 12 chapters from one book of somebody else's and published it as their own. So the author, who was my client, proceeded against him both by a criminal case as well as a civil case. Criminal case, because this is the intellectual property violation is also having criminal ramifications, and anybody who is proceeded criminally and gets convicted can go to jail. And civil cases for penalties and fines and damages. So all of these trademarks, if you have a trademark, if you have put some home sign, some sign which you think is yours, you've got it registered and somebody is trying to put the same thing on his product just to show that because you have got a lot of business, then there is Trademark Act violation. And patents, as you know, are for inventions, and designs are for various kinds of designs, including computer cards. They are called these design chips and all those things. So all of that comes into, so intellectual property violations are also criminal application, white collar crime or economic. So IPC is Indian Penal Code, you must be all knowing that. SAFEMA is Smugglers and Foreign Exchange Manipulators Act. This again is state. So we have 5 or 6 acts, and everyone has some different shade. Under SAFEMA, the properties could be confiscated. Whereas FEMA, all those things are violation, criminal consequences. In Smugglers and Foreign Exchange Manipulators Act, which was done in 1976, the properties of friends, relatives, anybody who is suspected of ill-gotten wealth from the smuggling and foreign exchange manipulation activities, their properties. I did a case and I'm going to talk about that.
Service tax is on every kind of service that you can get. If you do computers, IT services, it was basically at that time Service Tax Act. I think Service Tax was slightly older than this. This 2000. It is earlier than 2017. This is the wrong date. I made a mistake there. It is Central Goods and this is called the Gst Act. Now a lot of acts have all been rolled together, and now the government says there's a simple GST, and on everything you have to pay GST. Earlier there used to be sales tax, there used to be other forms of taxations, and even the central excise, I think, and customs are also converted into the GST Act. And if you don't pay GST, recently somebody was sent to jail. So there are criminal ramifications of doing fraud by disguising the financial activity. So GST Act is there. Now, what are the enforcement agencies? All the foreign exchange enforcement of all these violations is called the Enforcement Directorate. It's the ED for short, and the DRI is the Directorate of Revenue. They all work together. The CBI, DRI, Enforcement Directorate, they're all working together to catch people doing this kind of fraud, criminal activity. And for company frauds, there is what is known as SFIO, Serious Fraud and Investigation Agency. Now these are prosecuting agencies, investigative agencies, and police authorities work under the CRPC for offences under IPC, and for the drug offences there is it's called NCB. The bureau it's called Narcotic Control Bureau. So these are your other things. Now some of the recent white collar crimes, just to give you an idea, there are hundreds, and you will, as you go further, you may study more, or you may already have it in your curriculum. The 2G scam it is called. This is sale of broadband. Government was auctioning broadband. Some people went and bribed the ministers, etc., and they got the license. Spectrum licenses is for the bandwidth, your internet connectivity. So they got the license at cheaper rates, and controller and auditor general said that if it is the price, it can be done by minimum price. It can be accepting the person who is without the auction process and doing some fraud and giving them. Suppose the bandwidth price is monthly license fee. Can if the users, if a person who is selling broadband connections can earn 100 crores. So there is a percentage by which the auctioning is done. The government looks at 10 to 15% revenue from anybody doing that. So the license fee will be 15% of the possibility of the revenues that the person who is purchasing the bandwidth from the government licenses to sell the bandwidth thing. So the 15 crores license fee should have been there, so they take 5 crores. You say, all right, take 10 crores, you give me bribe, or 5 crores, you give me bribe, you say 5 crores, and you give me 5 crores, or you save 10 crores and you give me 5 crores. So therefore, and you pay 5 crores in license fee, so you sell 5 crores, I get 5 crores. This is the criminal activity. And special court acquitted. There was some, for lack of evidence, that then ministers, they were in jail for 2 months, 6 months. But some ministers and politicians are shameless. They go to jail and then they come back and do again the same things. So Vijay Malaya's case, you must have heard about it. He was a business tycoon from Bangalore. He was a liquor merchant. He has an airline called Kingfisher Airline, which is which has come down and disclosed. He ran away to. He would be being prosecuted under that act. You see, Fugitive Offenders Act. Just now I read on the top, fugitive offender. He is a fugitive because in India criminal cases are going on and he is wanted. He has no bail. There are arrest warrants against him. So he is run away. That act will also come. And then there is what is known as the Extradition Act. Anybody, if you want, there's another fellow called Mehul Choksi. The Mehul Choksi is in a place called, just forget the name, in a place called something with C. I forget the name. I gave a interview on television the other. So extradition means you have to bring them back. Recently, one fellow, Augusta Westland, a helicopters case in Dubai, they brought him back. They're trying to bring back the Dawood Ibrahim, who set up the bomb blast, So the extradition process is it. Similarly, these financial crime fellows will run away. They will go and go to some other places and they live there. We have been trying to get him extradited by the UK. In UK, Home Minister is called Home Secretary. His office handles also this, and extradition is a very tough process because many of these people, when they go to those destinations, the Indian government will have to prove that these fellows are seriously required for criminal activities. The court will look into everything, look into the evidence. It's like having the whole case again in short. And as per the extradition agreement, if there is, we have extradition agreements where both countries, the fugitives can be taken away back. So the courts will, as per the extradition law of their country and our country and the evidence against him, Vijay Mallya owes some 9,432 crores. And he is wanted for that FIR because he has taken bank loans and he has defrauded. You see how bank loans are given. Bank loans are not given just like that. He'll say, look, I have business of 200 crores per month. I have assets, my business owns assets, 5 factories in 4 or 5 cities, I have office spaces, and I'll mortgage all this. The value of this is about 1,000 crores. So therefore give me 600 crores or 800 crores. So what they will do is they will enhance the value of their assets, say it is 2,000 crores or 5,000 crores, and borrow more than the value of the asset at about 2,500-3,000 crores. Suppose they get when the value is only 2,000, 1,500 crores excess they have taken, whereas they declared 5,000 crores assets. When the revenue is 50 crores or 100 crores, they are showing 500 crores. So they get the loan because they have falsified the papers and balance sheets, etc. And they get the loan and they run away. Similarly, Nirav Modi is a well-known diamantaire. He is also in UK. He borrowed 13,758 crores from Punjab National Bank. The borrowing is all like this. The borrowing is by showing fraudulent business revenues, showing fraudulent value of the assets. So this is also a white collar crime. It's a fraudulent crime. So therefore, this is Nirav Modi also. We could not bring him back. He is swindled 13,758 crores. Now, this is the amount. He has a relative called Mehul Choksi. This is the name, and then that's right. That's the name, Dominica. Mehul Choksi is also a fugitive businessman. He's run away. The Indian government sent a private jet full of people from Enforcement Directorate, CBI, IB Intelligence Bureau also works with them, but it's not a prosecuting agency. IB is like a spying agency, IB and RAW. CBI and Enforcement Directorate people, officers went in the private jet. They're probably there, they are trying to bring him back in this 13,000. Both Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi are relatives. And he also had a Gitanjali group. Gitanjali was a diamond business, and they both are facing extradition, and it's going on. They issued fraudulent undertaking to the banks and all these things, and they are. So originally he went to Antigua, got citizenship there, and then from there he ran away to Dominica. So they are trying to bring him back by getting cooperation of both the governments of Dominica. And it's a legal process, it has to go through the courts, etc. Our people have hired lawyers, governments to bring them back. Also, these are, just to give you, in this case, in Mehul Choksi, Nirav Vijay Mallya's case, all those FERA, or all those acts will be coming into play in some fashion or the other. So, because they're not only money laundering, but for FERA, FEMA provisions, Income Tax Act provisions, then ordinary criminal law 420 cheating, criminal breach of trust, all these provisions will be against them, and they will have to languish in jail, and all their properties here will be confiscated, their bank balances everywhere will be traced, and they will be brought to book under the law of the country. And whatever is there, immediately the accounts are frozen, etc. Now, Satyam scam. What is Satyam scam? One Satyam Ramalinga Raju was there, and he also, see, simply by falsifying the company accounts, he borrowed 14,162 crores in addition to what is eligible. So when it is finally found that these are all cooked up books, it's called cooked up books. You cook up the books means you make all fraud kinds of entries. When your assets are worth 100 crores, you will show it 500 crores. When your computers worth 10 crores, you show it 50 crores. Similar, when your revenues, business revenues per month is 100 crores profit, you show 500 crores. So it's like that. So it basically, it is by fraudulent cooking the books, and tax evasion, foreign exchange manipulation, money laundering, is one thing leads to the other. So even the auditors for Satyam were arrested because they helped in cooking the books. Now the auditors are also under the fire and the heat because government wants this thing. Anyway, if any of you who practice law, it may be a good idea to have their clients to see if you can get them least amount of punishment, but you shouldn't cook their books too. And maybe they'll pay you your fees if any of the money is available to you. But there are many things that lawyers practice, but it's definitely not aiding them in somehow trying to manage to help them, or if they are innocent, or if they are not. Some relative may come, he may be totally innocent. He may be your client. But if you're working in a law firm, you'll have companies which come for due diligence. They'll show you their papers. They'll say this is it, but market value is I bought it for 10 crores. Can I declare my asset to be 14 crores because when I bought it, it was 10 crores, but today the market value is 14 crores, like that. And therefore, they may be innocent. They may not have violated the law. So Enron is a very big, gas and oil and gas corporation in the US. This is just to give you an example, right? They again, in the US and sometimes even in India now, bankruptcy law has come in place. We didn't have a bankruptcy law earlier. There is fraudulent bankruptcy. There are people go and file bankruptcy when they have, siphoned off crores of rupees which belongs to the company, and they also erase evidences, destroy computer records, destroy these things. So this is one of the biggest scandals in the US called the Enron scandal, where billions of dollars was there for poor financial reporting. This is all white collar crime is done by fraud, poor financial reporting, by forgery, by counterfeiting. They do everything with that, and it's not like going and robbing somebody's house, breaking his lock, and all those things. It's a sophisticated method and mechanism by even defrauding shareholder, because shareholder, what he does, he buys your share. He hopes that the company will be functioning well, it will make profit, and he'll get a dividend, and his investment will be safe. And auditing firms sometimes are fair, sometimes they don't participate, sometimes even the auditing firms participate. There was another scandal called the WorldCom scandal. Again, a big white collar crime in the US. There are many. I told you about the Citibank insider trading case of Ravi Pandit or something his name is, and the assets were overstated by $11 billion. If you see the last WorldCom admitted there, one of my clients, a gentleman named Dr. B.R. Shetty, who owns a chain of hospitals in Abu Dhabi and other places, the potential client, he had taken some advice from me. In London Stock Exchange, the value of his companies was boosted and overstated by $6 billion. It came to light, he fled, and he's been prosecuted both in London and in Abu Dhabi for doing all these things. Now, what his defense is, Mr. Dr. B.R. Shetty, is that my CEOs, two brothers, have swindled all this. They have cooked my books. I left my business to my CEOs who have cheated. Now, it's possible that the man may be innocent. It's possible he may be, how much he's innocent, we don't know. So therefore, that is this thing they make. Okay, now, next, this is the case I want to talk to you, and I will give you some kind of a takeaway, because all of those things you may read, but this is my personal example. which I did in the Supreme Court way back in the 90s, 94. I was a young junior. I argued for state of Gujarat in this matter called Attorney General for India versus Amrit Lal Parjeevan Das. And I argued for the state of Gujarat. I was given a brief. There was no senior counsel present. I argued the matter. It's a judgment by 9 judges of the Supreme Court. Now, what was the issue before the court? The issue before the court was whether the orders of preventive detention, it is preventive detention, the coffee posa is preventive detention, that you are already in the business of committing these crimes, now we won't let you commit any more crimes. That's Coffee Posa Act, and so I showed you Coffee Posa, again the full form is here. Whether where the detention orders are met in the Coffee Posa, if it can be the foundation for action being taken against them under SAFEMA, Smugglers and Anti-Foreign Exchange Manipulators Act, SAFEMA, by confiscating the acts and bank accounts of the persons concerned and their relatives, whoever gets that ill-gotten wealth. So Coffee Posa, as you saw in the top, Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smugglings Activities Act, where somebody was using all this ill-gotten wealth and they were bringing gold smuggling from outside and all of these things, and bringing foreign exchange in boxes and bags and using them for hawala and all these things. So they were top class smugglers. I went and appeared with my senior in Mumbai in many cases. So Coffee Posa, and so there were many challenges in this act. And you should read this. This is a very celebrated case, and it was mainly argued by the Additional Solicitor General at that time. I'm forgetting his name. He was arguing, but I also made a lot of submissions from state of Gujarat, and I don't know if in those days the junior counsel's name were recorded as lawyers appearing or not, but I argued the matter. So this is the case where the smugglers' properties were being confiscated under a different act. So they challenge this principally. They are challenged it on varieties. They challenge it that government doesn't have right to enact SAFEMA. It doesn't have fundamental rights are violated. Some rubbish will be going on. You read it, it's a very big judgment. It's not easy to understand. But I have simplified this for you, that those who have been arrested and under preventive detention under Coffee Posa, whether their assets and bank accounts can be seized, their assets and bank accounts and that of their relatives. Suppose some fellow brings 5 crores of gold, and he sells the gold and gives his money to his brother or uncle, and that uncle buys a house and has bank account. So the act prescribed that fellow's money also could be gone and attached and confiscate his house and take away his money in the bank. And this we won. You please read it. It's a very long judgment, and it is tough for you to understand the challenge, grounds of challenge. But this is broadly the case, so that to give you understand what is white collar crime and how government acts in confiscating the properties and the ill-gotten wealth. So this is a case which I myself have done. This is a takeaway for you. The attorney, and it's prescribed for the advocates on record exam also. It's a 9 judges bench cases. Not many come 9 judges these days. 7, 9, 13, 11, 13. The Supreme Court has sat and heard matters. 5, as you know, is a constitution bench. 5 judges, even now they keep hearing. But where the judgments where 5 judges bench cannot hear because of some difference of opinion between them, the matter will get referred to a 7-judge bench. Similarly, if there is any other 7-judge bench matter and other issues which are cannot be decided by 7, then it goes to 9. So like that in previous cases, since independence, of course the scope of the larger benches becomes less and less as we go on. So it is 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. 13, as you know, is Keshwananda Bharati case. The basic structure doctrine and other things is a very important constitution. People keep reading it, people keep understanding that all their life. So
This was in those days. Huh? Anybody saying something? Hello? Anybody saying anything? I'm just going to finish. This is my last slide. I'm going to just finish this slide. Now, in Attorney General versus Parjeevan Das, I produced this chart from a book by, I was being, as I told you, I've appeared in many cases where the DRI as you know is Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. So I was being briefed along with my senior by the DRI, by one Sri B.V. Kumar, who was the chief of DRI, to come to the Attorney General's office, Additional Solicitor General's office, where I was a junior, and he created what is called the Narcotic Control Bureau in those days, NCB. Sri B.V. Kumar is about 80 years plus and is still alive. He's in Bangalore. I'm still in touch with him. So Sri B.V. Kumar wrote a book on preventive detention, and this is the most important thing. Whatever you have heard, paid attention, not paid attention, doesn't matter, do pay attention to this. This is something which you will not get easily anywhere, nobody would give it to you, but I am giving it because I have personal experience. So I had this book and I assisted him in many ways. I was a counsel for the government, and this is a chart which the Director General of the Revenue Intelligence, Sri B.V. Kumar, in his book, who later created at that time only created the Narcotic Control Bureau, put in his book. And I have a copy of the book, as he gave me a copy, and I took a screenshot of that and I have it before you. It's a little complicated, but try to pay attention, look at it carefully. First we have tax havens, money laundering. Can you see the central square? Tax havens, money laundering. Tax havens are places where you can hide your money. They are essentially places like Cayman Islands. Liechtenstein is one name. Cayman Island, even Mauritius is considered a tax. There are certain small countries where they don't tax your money. You have to pay them a small fee to hide your money. So these are called tax havens. Now, from first square, drug trafficking, profit generated goes to tax havens. Organized crime, profits generated goes to tax havens, money laundering, right? Now we go, let's start from left side, from the drug trafficking. Drug trafficking, and when we go down, profit generated used for financing misguided politicians and for financing purchase of arms and ammunition for terrorist activity. This is a chart that is found, and you will find some misguided politicians are there who promote terrorist activity. Now the chart goes down further. Intelligence agencies takes the assistance of drug trafficking syndicate to covertly assist terrorist activity. Some of the intelligence agencies, the government of India, what it does is, it takes these drug trafficking fellows because that money is used for, it's all, crime is a very big web. You must read one Shakespearean quote, tangled web. I will just tell you when we plan to deceive, I will just tell you what that quotation is called, Shakespearean. Now this is a web. I will let you look at it carefully while I am looking for it will take a minute to look for me to get the quotation for you. Now, Shakespearean quotation, it goes like this. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we first practice to deceive. Means that when you lie or act dishonestly, you are initiating a problems and a domino structure of complications which eventually will run out of control and it will get you into trouble. And this is from a poem called Marymount, A Tale of Flood and Flood. It was also used by Shakespeare somewhere, if I remember, but
Essentially, it's Walter Scott who first dealt with, oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. There are the two lines. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we first practice to deceive. So therefore, when we practice to deceive, this is a tangled web. So these people who are in this business do all of these things. They are dangerous people. They will put money into drugs because it may start from drugs and then thereafter it goes into various things. Then it goes into terrorist activity. So intelligence agency go and catch all of drug traffickers to get the terror. Then after that, after a while, terrorist activity is used more to protect drug trafficking than profess political ideas. So the politicians and drug traffickers may get involved in some. In Kashmir, some of these terrorist activities. Then subversion of democratic political process. What these drug traffickers and money launderers do is they put money into politics and ensure that the democratic process, that the good man must win elections, he is made to lose elections. Okay. Now I'm coming back to the third square. First is drug trafficking, second profit, third. Profits transferred to tax haven from money laundering. See the arrow that is going. Can you see my cursor? Can you see my cursor dancing or not? Hello?
No.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now this is going into laundered money invested in shell corporations. Some fraud corporations money will go from this comes from the third one. This is not exactly from this one. So we leave these. Now we go to the second tax. Now tax haven money laundered money invested in shell corporations or fraud corporations. There is this fellow called the Hyderabad case who actually was running 5 companies in the guise of one company, and he was avoiding paying taxes. So they'll show paper shell companies or they'll disguise the company and do business. Because this is a criminal activity, fraud activity. One thing leads to another. Then shell corporations take over legitimate business organizations. Now shell corporations will go and take over legitimate business organizations. See, crime moves like that. And then next arrow, now you see the organized crime. So when they want to take big companies, because they are paper companies, they want to take real big companies, which are dealing with the real good business. So then what it does, organized crime after takeover of legitimate businesses, perpetrate economic crime in various forms. Now, economic crime, now from here again profits transferred to tax havens for laundering. So, this profits from this economic crime that they do by fraud, vouchers, this, that, all which we talk, it goes into profit, it turns right here, left here, goes into profit transfer and goes back to tax. And it goes laundered money invested in shell corporations. Again, it goes back here and gets into these companies. Now, organized crime after takeover legitimate business perpetrates. Then developing lobbies in bureaucracy, judiciary, enforcement agencies, media and financing. Now, what this crime people, they do, this is very serious business and you are learning it at a very young age, whereas I learned it after my 5 or 7 years of practice. They try to develop lobbies in bureaucracy, judiciary, enforcement agencies, media, financing. So they go and disrupt the political process. They derail the democratic political process. Because this is a crime that it goes, so they want to take charge of political power. And you must read there Cicero, not Cicero, Machiavelli the prince. And Machiavelli the prince will tell you that some of these governments do these type of things. And then financing individual politicians and political parties. Then this arrow further goes down, helps to attain respectability. Now these people will all they will contest elections, become respectable people, and they are doing all this web and helps to attain so that organized crime and criminal enterprise can thrive. And this goes again to the left, the last square, subversion of democratic process. A good man will never win the election. And it goes to the right, persons not falling in line are neutralized or eliminated through organized. Now this is where white collar crime meets blue collar crime. They use people to even assassination. You see, terrorists, we have had 2 prime ministers assassinated by terrorists. Why? Because all of this happens when crime starts. What is the We had Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, who was assassinated by terrorists, Sri Lankan. They have some all kinds of things, and other terrorists, another Prime Minister. So therefore, these are then the political process becomes murky. Now we go to the right side. Now this is organized crime. This is where white collar crime meets blue collar crime. If you go to the last square where my cursor is moving, this side is organized crime, which is blue collar crime, is murder. When we say organized crime, murder, loot, bank robberies and all these things. When they make money, profit generated, it goes into tax havens. And from tax havens, it goes into laundered money invested in shell companies, like that. So all of these money, drug trafficking money will go into tax havens, organized profits. Even, organized crime in Bombay and other places, they do extortion. Extortion is organized. They kidnap somebody. They put a gun on the loved one and that is called organized crime, or even commit murder. And Bombay is murky, and there are a lot of, if you see Sushant Singh Rajput's case has some relevance. Sushant Singh Rajput, you must have all seen and thought about last year. There's a lot of ramification of white collar crime meeting organized crime, and I'm happy Rupam and you people have asked me to talk about it. I remembered this from my 94 days when I argued the matter, 93 days, which is like 20 years from or 30 years from now. And now another thing you see here last. Now these people here, the laundered money invested, we are also there. They will take financial advisors, lawyers, fiduciary consultants, chartered accountants. They assist in money laundering operations. This is the DRI chief who has written this, and it is in his book. I had the page number, the book is right in front of me. And he says some of these people are shady characters, have some shady assistants in professionals. This is why it's called white collar crime, because some of these people also participate. Again, if you go to this organized crime after takeover of legitimate business perpetrated, some of the, like for instance, there was one East West Airlines. East West Airlines CMD was shot dead in Bombay, and it was said that it was an enterprise in airlines being run by a man called Dawood Abraham, wanted terrorist. So organized crime is running airlines. Now, white collar crime, Mr. Vijay Malaya running airlines ran away. So you can see what organized crime, what white collar crime is doing. So white collar crime is also trying to do legitimate business, use shell companies, take over airlines. Again, you will see our names, advisors, lawyers, would-be lawyers can think, fiduciary, financial consultants, accountants, assist in money laundering operation. This is the DRI chief, who is the DRI Narcotic Control Bureau. And of course, the last corner in the end, person not falling in line or are neutralized. So therefore, please don't think white collar crime is some booby-to-be, some child play, some nice, happy-go-lucky crime. It, just like I read that poem for you, it's a web, and it results in this. This is the best takeaway I could give to you. So beware, be careful. Being lawyers, you will always face situations where some of these things you maybe have to face when you become lawyers. Thank you very much.
So there are some questions in the chat box.
All right, yes, quickly. Now 15 minutes, let me see what's the time.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
So the first question is why the people commit white collar crimes when they are already having a good deal of money with them, with their businesses or whatever they are doing.
1 second. Right. Now, see, this is all greed. This is moral and ethical values not being there. And believe me, your students, when you go to professional life, you will see that people lead lives without moral and ethical values. And many times, of course, I have represented few cases where people have committed white collar crime, or innocently or otherwise. And I have some petty crime or false allegations of murder, even one of the matters I did. And sometimes, as a lawyer, you have to look at it dispassionately. But the lawyer's job is not to fabricate evidence, is not to, alright, let me give you an example of the case. Just not that I wanted to help him, I was very embarrassed. So one morning I was going to court, one young man came to me and said, sir, I have a brief for you to argue the matter. I said, what is this? And the way I read it, I sat in the court and read it. And when I was reading the brief, I found that the person whom we were appearing for had, was a small landlord in a state of Tamil Nadu, and he took his not landlord, tenant took his landlord to the next village and threw him into the river. He is already convicted. I am appearing for a convicted person. So then his wife and daughter after 2 days ask him, and he comes back. The wife and daughter ask him, what happened to my father? My mother is sick. It's cruel. Sometimes we have to be dispassionate and it takes a long time. As young people, you see all of this is cruelty, but as you grow old, you may look at it differently. Because everybody has a right to be represented, as you can see. And I was appearing, I was in our TV channels when Nirbhaya people were being hanged. I know in Mrs. Indira Gandhi's case, when till the assassins were hanged, I was working till 2 o'clock in the night. So then what he did was, he took the wife and the child to the next village and threw them into the river. So bodies were never found. So the police convicted him on circumstantial evidence. It was called circumstantial evidence, that they found rings of those people on him. They found something else. They found some pen, something. So on circumstantial evidence. And after that, the court, I had to argue. Only thing I just said one sentence to the court. The sentence that I said was, my lords, in law, a person cannot be declared dead for 7 years until the body is found. Very embarrassed. I didn't know what to say, but I knew this point. I knew the fellow is convicted. They are sitting in jail, and I only said, the judge, it is for the judge. Actually, the whole thing is, it is for the judge to decide. He need not take my argument. So the judge issued notice to the state of Tamil Nadu. Come and answer the point. The bodies are not found. We can't declare those people dead for 7 years. You have convicted the person who has taken him to them to the next village and convicted him of a murder. So then after notice was issued to Tamil Nadu, I did not, Khushbu Kumari has asked something. So after after the notice was issued, I left. I only had to say the legal point. I did not fabricate evidence. I did not tell a lie. I did not do anything. I did my job as a lawyer to tell what the law is. After 1 or 2 months, the fellow came and gave me the brief. He says, sir, he'll be smiling, very happy. I got that fellow acquitted. He said, how did the court acquit him? The court said, how can you convict a fellow when the bodies are not found? For 7 years, he's already served 5 or 6 years. So they said, all right, he can be acquitted. So I'm just telling you what a lawyer can do is he must state the law and try to assist the court. He need not do fraud or criminal activity like those clients do. So that's what it is. So thank you. Any other question quickly? Circumstance. Somebody asked me for circumstance. Oh, come on, I'm not going to tell you any circumstance. I told you.
There's a question that if the person who is accused of a crime and is suspended from the job, so what he can do if the allegation is found wrong?
He'll be reinstated. Bad luck. Bad luck.
Not any compensation or something like that for the reputation and all the...
Well, how can you see, how can the employer, if there is a serious allegation of murder, rape, kidnapping, something is there. Normally, as they say, when the charge sheet is filed, if a charge sheet is filed, crime is a very serious one. Okay, anybody else wants to ask me anything quickly?
No, sir. There are no more questions in my chat box.
Huh?
There are no more questions in my
I'm very happy. A lot of young ladies are studying law. Best wishes to all of you. I hope you enjoyed the session, and it's white collar crime is a serious thing, and there are a lot of people who are doing all this, but like part of life, you've got to deal with it. So you may teach. If you don't like it so harsh when you see it. Thank you. Okay, good night. Best wishes. Bye.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Who is Rupam here? I have not seen Rupam's face here.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
I'm there.
Where are you? Why can't I see you? I have not seen you till date. Come on.
Okay, sir.
I can see Ankita Sharma here. Anika Sharma. Is that it? Yeah, your colleague. Anybody else? Where is Rupa? Yeah, that's you. Good. Good to see you. Don't feel shy. If you want to be a lawyer and all, show your face. Be there. We show up in the court.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
bye.
Thank you, sir. The people are requested to deboard the platform. Hello? Audible, Ami? The session is over. Kindly deboard the platform. Lavina and all. Kindly leave the platform, Lavina.